Now it's back. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Bob.
Let's see. We'll start by turning up the volume. Um,
Hey, Tim.
Hey there. Hey, Melanie.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Dan. How are you both?
Good evening, Melanie.
We're both good.
Good.
Both good. Okay. Phooey.
By the way, Bob,
Yes, sir.
I talked to the chair of the planning board today, and she would like to present next week.
Um, okay. That's an okay, I understand. Yeah, actually, next week is probably the right time because we have it billed for articles. That's
Okay.
one of the things I want to talk about tonight is who do we need to invite in? So we need planning board. Um, huh. I had researched how we get Zoom to do not a transcript, but a summary for us. And it doesn't show what they said it was going to show. Fully. How to start meeting summary. Start a meeting. Over the AI companion diamond. There is no AI companion diamond, unfortunately.
Looks like we're missing a bunch of people.
Yes, we are. We're kind of waiting right now. Allison told me she was working with Zach on creating a PowerPoint, so I'm at a minimum expecting Allison and Zach, but that doesn't help us with a quorum. Um, hmm.
Tim, that was me honking and waving. I saw you motoring down the street. So I was the black defender that was honking and waving to you.
Where?
I think you're on
On Nahant Road?
no, it wasn't Nahant Road. It was like 100 meters past the fire station.
Ah, okay, on Flash.
Yeah,
I was in my tuk-tuk, the red one.
yeah, it was the older one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you've had that's really held up well.
Actually, it's rusting sadly. I'm going to have to do some sort of a complete rust overhaul.
How many years have you owned it, Tim?
That one I think I've had for 3 or 4 years now.
Okay. So it's just the salt and the air that's getting to it?
That and when I put lobster traps in the back that have been in the ocean, that really does a number to it too.
Yeah.
Melanie, on your Rover, so Candace has an LR4 and I have a Defender. In both cars, the tires are wearing at twice the rate that they used to wear on my Grand Cherokees. Are you seeing any unusual tire wear on your Range Rover?
I'm not. Mine's is a 2004.
Yeah, Candace is like I think 2015,
Mm.
and I was shocked at the rate that they're wearing on my Defender. You know, it's literally twice what it should be.
Yeah, I have the old air suspension
Oh,
system.
nice. That's still available. That's a big upgrade.
Yeah. So that's helping me a bit. And there is everyone, almost all at once. Hi.
Yeah, we
Hi.
got some. Yeah, we got some bodies.
I let them all out of the waiting room.
Thank you.
They were in the waiting room reading the old editions of National Geographic that are filed there.
And travel and leisure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like people myself.
Oh, I know, but it's usually like 6 months out of date.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any difference to me because I don't know anything about the people.
Ditto.
I don't know. Men's Health magazine from
Oh,
2007 is
Oh, but Golf Digest.
Oh yeah.
that's a good one. Whoa.
wow. I think I struck a chord on that one.
Yeah. You better get busy.
All right. We have Zach. We have Allison, who have been strangely silent through that whole conversation. All right. It looks like we have a quorum. So it is 6:35, and we have from the Finance Committee, Bob Vanderslice, Dan McMacken. There's a second Dan, which I assume is Dan Scripps, but at any rate, Dan McMacken, Deborah Warren, Barbara Beatty, Melanie Tim, Alex Kent, Dana is here, Josie is here. So that is a quorum. So call
Hey.
to order at 6:35, and we are joined right now by someone who is mysteriously just Dan, which I'm guessing is Dan Script. But chooses to remain silent. Okay. Zach is with us. Allison is with us. Ed Locke is with us. And that looks like it. So tonight is DPW and all the related stuff. So it's DPW operations, the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, the Trash Enterprise Fund, and all of that. And Melanie, you are the liaison, so I'm just going to turn this over to you and let's go.
Okay. So for the FY 2027 budget, Allison and Zach work closely together. Like other departments, there will be increases that Zach has asked for. Examples are like the MWRA assessment, which Allison emailed us about several weeks ago. Zach and his department plans to do some sewer system upgrades this year, and they do have some ongoing studies, like the inflow study is still in progress. Please keep in mind that the snow and ice removal from the FY 2026 budget is over the allocation that we had. But also, I would like to highlight at this time what an excellent job Zach and his team did during a very challenging winter. I am not born and raised in this area. That was my first true New England winter. And I was proud to live in Nahant, Zach, because you and your team made our roads enviable in comparison to the neighboring townships. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you. And I know that this is the first year you're going to show us a PowerPoint presentation. So looking forward to that. Josie and I did have the opportunity to meet with Zach and go over the budget with him. I think it was actually about 3 weeks ago now. We did have some questions regarding availability of grants, maybe getting some assistance from FEMA, and Zach will answer additional questions that you have also regarding his budget. So I will turn it over to Zach at this time.
Hello, thank you, Melanie, and thank you everybody on the committee for giving your time to improve the town. Especially Melanie and Josie for being my liaisons. I appreciate you guys meeting with me. And as far as the PowerPoint, Allison had helped me out with that. So I was wondering if she's on so she could share the screen. It's very very basic, I must say.
Yeah, so did you have updates to it, Zach, or do you want me to share is it the same?
You can share as is. I used
Okay.
it as a template just to kind of go through my talking points. So
Okay, hold on, let me pull it up.
Zach, while Allison's pulling it up, do you want us to ask you questions as we go along or wait till the end?
yeah, that's fine. I mean, what I plan to do is basically do like bird's eye view of the budget and give you some brief details of expenditures in each of the categories. And then I can stop at the end of each one, and you can ask questions on that particular section of the budget because the budget is broken down pretty well into sections if you want to do that, or we could wait till the end.
Why don't we go ahead and give everyone an opportunity to ask questions as we go?
Okay, that's fine. So I do see a lot of familiar faces on the board, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Zach Taylor. I am the DPW superintendent. This is my 7th year on the job. The Public Works Department includes 7 full-time employees and 1 admin, also various part-time and seasonal help. There are several different components and jobs that are included in the DPW budget and are broken down based on the funding source. There are three funding sources, the general fund, the water sewer enterprise, and the rubbish enterprise. The general fund is additionally broken down into a few specific sections, and I'll go through each one in detail. First one is administration. And Allison, if you can just go to the, yeah, we could probably go through this slide. This is just a brief overview of the level services budget that we're presenting. Includes a 2.5% salary increase for the DPW workforce per the collective bargaining contract. The year 2 salary increase is accordance with the DPW superintendent's contract. Includes a 25 cent per hour salary increase for part-time employees, 2.5% increase to utility budgets, and small increases to other operating expenses. So Allison, if you just scroll forward to the next slide. I'll go through each one of these in detail, but as you can see, generally we are within or below the 2.5% increase. So administration, this includes a portion. You'll see the 9,056. This is a portion of the DPW superintendent salary. The way my salary is broken down, it's broken down into a portion of my salary comes out of pretty much each category, Allison, I would say. So that 9,000 is just a portion of my salary that goes into administration time.
Yeah, so yours is broken out between, I think it's like 8% is on this administration. Then you have a portion on highways and streets, and then a portion on water and sewer.
Okay. As far as administration, general expenses, this includes maintenance and operation of all town-owned buildings, including electricity for power, heat, and lighting, specialized services for fire protection, security, dues and memberships for water, hoisting, and underground storage licensing, supplies to maintain all working buildings and offices, office supplies, computers, printers, etc., and capital funds. And typically, we'll use the capital funds for new paint on buildings, windows, doors, emergency generators, and things like that. So I'll stop at each one of these if anybody has any questions on the administration portion of the budget.
Zach, this is Dana.
Sure.
In terms of revenue sources or funding sources, it's all comes from non-taxes, correct? Do we have any state aid for snow removal or coastal communities impact from storms, that kind of thing?
Typically not unless there's an emergency declared. So some of these storms, although it costs the town money, if it's not declared an emergency, you typically won't see any state aid.
And we didn't have any this year?
This year, no.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I'll move on to highways and streets. And this also includes drainage as well. So you'll see salaries and wages for all personnel assigned to Highways and Streets Division. This includes all overtime and standby, as well as, I believe, a portion of the superintendent's salary. I'll go through general expenses in the highways and streets. These include costs for tree warden, vehicle repair and maintenance on highways and streets, trucks and equipment. Street lighting, we are now the owners and operators of the street lighting in town. So this includes street lighting repair, maintenance and electricity costs.
Is that something new, Zach?
It's new as of, I believe, 2021. We converted to LED and we took ownership from National Grid.
Okay.
So with that, we did absorb some of the yearly or annual maintenance costs where National Grid was handling all of it before, but we're using the savings in electricity to cover the maintenance, and it more than covers the maintenance.
And to be clear, that doesn't include the causeway, correct?
Excuse me?
And that does not include the causeway lighting.
It does not, no. So costs for the highways and streets also includes engineering services. So recently we've had to produce it's called an MS4 permit, and it's basically for coastal communities that have drainage outfalls, direct drainage outfalls to the ocean. So that's something that we're dealing with. Let's see, it also includes potholes and other minor pavement patching, all street signage and street painting, and all tree removal and pruning services. It also includes annual catch basin cleaning and drain pipe jetting and outfall repair. I also see some capital allotted to highways and streets, and this is typically used for like new fences and walls, drainage structures, specialty equipment, guardrail, and any specialty lighting or flood lighting, things of that nature. In recent years, we've done fencing at Tri-Mountain Road, fencing at the Pleasant Street playground. We did fencing at Doggy Beach, post and rail fencing at Doggy Beach. And this year we plan to install a new door at the bathroom at the wharf. That's it for highways and streets. Does anyone have any questions on highways and streets? like done. Next item, and then you'll see here the highways and streets item went up 2%. So we're doing pretty good there. Snow and ice. Typically, this is funded at 30,000, and it's the only item that you're allowed to overspend on annually. That's pretty much it on this one. Allison, do you want to move forward to the slide on the snow and ice history? So this is a history of expenditures on snow and ice. This year is looking pretty grim based on the winter we had. But generally speaking, you're spending, between 125 and 175,000 a year on a typical winter. You can see in 2020 where we almost got nothing. But this year, of course, was especially hard. Any questions on snow and ice operations? Okay. Also, do you want to go back to the level funded? Beaches and parks. So beaches and parks include salaries and wages for all personnel assigned to the Beaches and Parks Division. And what you'll see in these salary items is we basically have either one full employee. You'll see in the water and sewer, you'll have one full employee for water, one full employee for sewer. Here it's you can have one full employee for highways and streets, and then a portion in beaches and parks. So that's why you're only seeing the 77,000. That could possibly be only one employee or the portion of one employee. So general expenses for beaches and parks include sports field. Good. Not sure what that was. All right, keep going. Sports fields opening and maintenance, all landscaping at all parks and playgrounds, buildings and roadways, bathroom opening, repair and maintenance, shower install and maintenance, annual townwide garden bed edging and mulch, beach opening and season-long daily raking, litter removal, weekly beach water testing, town wharf opening and yearly maintenance, tree, shrub, and flower planting, and vehicle repair and maintenance for beaches and parks assigned vehicles and equipment. You also see capital item in this as well. And typically this is spent on equipment upgrades or park improvements. And in past years, this has included new swings and benches at parks or other sports equipment at the soccer fields and Little League fields. Any questions on beaches, parks?
I do. This is Josie. How are you, Zach?
Hey, Josie.
I just have a couple of questions just because I'm not familiar with your breadth of scope. Does it include also the building, which is the country club today, or do you manage that as well?
We do not. That is privately owned and operated. I believe that there's a portion of the property or the land that has been donated to the town for open space. I'm just not 100% clear on that, but the building itself is owned and operated privately.
Okay. What about, I know in the Causeway, there is a beach house or a beach building, and I'm never quite sure if the state owns it or Nahant owns it. Can you tell me if we are managing that building as well?
We are not. The halfway house or the bathroom at the center of the Causeway is owned and operated by the state as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Zach, I have a question. This is Deborah.
Sure.
On the general expenses, it's not an eye-popping figure, but I see that it's a little over a 3% difference. What accounts for most of that budget, whether it's a lot, whether it's 3% more or not?
What encompasses the increase or the budget itself? Well,
I guess really this year, the increase, yeah.
We've seen increases in beaches and parks because of the season. The season has been progressively extended. So we haven't really set hard dates on when we stop services in terms of beaches and parks. So it's really is an annual thing and it's really seasonal dependent. So if people are using the beaches, we try to keep them open. Same thing with parks. So that's really the only reason I see. And then just to the increase in expenses of the things that we're buying.
Okay, thank you.
Parks done. All right, so that's beaches and parks. Cemeteries, the final category in the general fund.
Oh, Zach, sorry, this is Dana.
Sure.
Could I just go back to the beaches and parks again? Um, does the town take care of the Little League field maintenance?
Yes.
And then are there any fees that the town accrues to the town for that from people that use the field?
No, that's totally part of the general budget funding.
And how about the basketball court?
Yep. Same.
Same story, no fees, and town takes care of it.
Yep.
Now, what about the softball fields?
Same.
Same.
Yep.
So those leagues don't pay any fee to the town to take care of those fields?
They do not. And same with soccer as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Just following up on that, Tim, is that common with other towns that they don't pay to use fields?
I would say that would be uncommon that they don't pay.
So we're the exception.
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, we should talk about that. I mean, we're talking about revenue crunches, and not like it's going to change our lives, but maybe there is some level of fees that would not discourage people from using it, but would also take care of the town's costs in maintaining those fields.
So we are considering that for the Little League field because of the CPC funding for the lighting that's going up there. So it's going to have state-of-the-art lighting that'll extend the use of that field. And so that's something that we're going to explore there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the basketball court and the softball field, I don't know. I don't have any data to back me up, but I think that a lot of people that use those facilities, we welcome them, of course, but they don't live in Nahant.
Right.
So, a nominal fee would make sense taking care of those parks and fields.
I think we should collect data from other towns so we have a comparison and people will know, what other similar sized towns charge, just to have that as a comparison data for next year.
And this is Josie again. Just want to comment on that. I think we do see a lot of non-residents using our open spaces and our beaches. So the question then becomes, how do you manage that? You need to hire people to be able to identify it. And, why only that particular park? Why not Bailey's Hill? It gets very complicated on how you're going to go about getting revenue that way. I think we should consider that, certainly, but the cost of managing it may be more difficult than the revenue that we receive. So that's for another day.
Yeah, and Josie, to build on that too, I would submit that I'm not sure we have to wait until next year on this. It was something, we can make as a recommendation to the town administrator to implement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good idea. And Josie, I'm thinking specifically about 2 leagues,
right?
Not general usage, but to leagues that specifically use those fields. And we know exactly how much they tell us, how often, et cetera. That's what I was thinking about getting some comparison data on.
Okay. Like I said, the other open spaces that we have here, we see lots of non-residents use them. Like I've seen if you go anywhere in Cape Cod and stuff like that, you see people sitting there in their little guard tent waiting for your sticker, and it just gets so expensive to keep that open. Just wondering if we wanted to go that far, but we'll leave that for another day. May I ask a question? I know, Josh, Zach, that we talked about this when we met, but I just wanted to review the larger projects that are looming. I know we have not actively to date gone after state and federal grants. FEMA could be one of them, like I said, but there are many others. I just wanted the group to know that Zach did state that he is absolutely open to any grant opportunities that would help us. And I have done some research on how Gloucester has been able to manage some of the major projects. So we're going to try to see where there might be an opportunity to fund big projects going forward. Right, Zach? And then we'll do that at another date, but he's absolutely open to it. And I do believe that there is money out there that we can absolutely apply for, being a coastal town, especially dealing with any kinds of lead pipes. Certainly we can, and other things like that. He just didn't include it in this budget yet, but
It's coming.
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll get through this pretty quickly. Cemetery is the last portion of the general fund budget. I have one year-round part-time employee at the cemetery. And you'll see his salaries and wages, as well as salaries and wages for part-time employees and seasonal help. This includes all burials, burial equipment and hardware, perpetual care of the cemetery and all grave sites, chapel operation and maintenance, backfill and landscape materials, tool and equipment maintenance, snow removal at the cemetery, as well as security. You'll see a capital item as well. Capital typically is used for equipment upgrades. This year, we were able to encumber money from last year and add it to this year's, and we plan to do a project to raise and straighten all the, I believe they're footstones. If you go in there, you look at the footstones, some of them have settled up to 8 inches, and none of them are online. So we want to do a project where we're going to bring those back up to grade, get them online, and really beautify the cemetery. We also planned on doing a lot of wall restoration. The cemetery wall needs a lot of work, so we're going to be doing some work on that. And that's it. The cemetery. That covers the general fund. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
I have cemetery questions, Zach.
Sure.
In terms of the revenue that the town collects on fees for burials and use of the chapel, where would we see that?
That that's a good question.
It's general. It gets deposited into the general fund.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That it would filter back into the general fund.
Yep.
And
we haven't had a whole lot of events. I think we've had 1 or 2 in my whole 6 years here in the chapel itself. So
I see. So in terms of what do we know what it is? Does it help cover the costs of maintaining the
like I said, it's limited. We haven't had many events at all. We've had a handful of events, so it's.
And I think we're probably talking about the burial revenue not being much. Is that right?
The burial revenue, yeah, I don't think it covers much.
Is it?
It's probably about $10,000 a year.
Is it like about $175 to open up a grave and per burial?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. The Board of Selectmen did just, when they reviewed their fees for this year, they did increase those fees a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid to exit the PowerPoint to pull up my fee schedule, but I can share that with you after the presentation if you want.
Okay, thanks, Allison. I don't know if it's going to move the needle much in what we're thinking about here, but just wanted to get a feel for it and make sure we're not losing any fee revenue.
Might be good to know if it's comparable to other towns too. It's a great question, Dana.
Yeah,
I agree. I would actually like to know. It seems low. Our fees seem low, even though we did adjust this year. I would like to know where we stand relative to neighboring communities, because there might be some wiggle room to increase that. Although, like Dana said, it might only move the needle a little bit based on the number of burials you have per year.
I mean, in an inflationary environment, I think it's important to evaluate these fees because we're getting hit on the cost side with inflation, but we also on the revenue side we need to keep up, and this will help us avoid, problems in the future and this year. I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
All right, so I'm going to jump on Dana's soapbox. Is this sustainable? And in particular, what is the collective bargaining increase next year?
I believe it's Allison. You know what the collective bargaining is for next year?
So before Tony left, he signed, it's a 1-year extension that covers FY27, and it was 2.5% for each of the collective bargaining units for DPW, police, and fire. So this fall, I'll be renegotiating all 3 of those contracts for the following 3 years for FY28, 29, and 30.
All right. So just in general, is this sustainable?
Is what sustainable?
The budget. Can we maintain the same level of services and stay within Prop 2.5 next year?
It's tight. And I mean, the collective bargaining contracts, that is an unknown. 2.5% has been on, is average, I guess, but that's exactly what Prop 2.5 is, right? So I do expect the unions to come in with increased asks this year, but I won't know until the fall.
Allison, this is Josie again. I would think that we get quite a bit of revenue because I know I get a pretty big tax bill every year, every few months. So is the trash portion of it self-sustaining?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So the trash and water and sewer, those 2 are enterprise funds. So they don't fall under the general fund. They're not supported by taxes. Those are supported by fees.
Okay.
Yes. And so those are set up to be self-sustainable.
All right. So that part is self-sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
The general open spaces, parks and everything, of course, probably is under here. We don't seem to be getting any FEMA for snow removal or state because it's not a state of emergency. So there needs to be some, leeway there. Has there been, I'm trying to equate to why is this self-sustainable, right? Some of it is already paid for by fees. Some of it is contractual, but we can manage that contractual. What do you see, Zach, as the biggest unknown every year in your budget other than the snow?
In the general fund, there's not many.
Mm-hmm.
It's really rinse and repeat year after year, a cyclical chain of events every single year. And we have it down to pretty much a science. I mean, Tony and I had been meeting, when he was here and Allison now, just trying to dial the budget into where it is sustaining. And you'll see the percentages over the last few years that it is, at least in the general fund.
Okay.
What keeps you up? What can bust the budget?
Things with water and sewer.
Right.
And snow and ice. It's the general fund items are controllable. A lot of it's done in-house. So it's effort driven. It's not cost driven. A lot of the services are effort driven. Where you see the costs that are fluctuating are in the water and sewer, where we're reliant on outside sources for materials, specialty materials, custom materials, and the people that are doing this specialty work are getting increasingly more expensive to hire.
And acts of God as well.
Yep. Yep. Of course, you deal with like coastal events. That is one of the things that keep me up at night. That could hit the general fund, because there's really no bucket that you're pulling from for a coastal event that's, say, a hurricane event, that wouldn't necessarily be a state of emergency where you have to absorb those costs. So that's something that could hit the budget. But other than that, it's controllable.
So when I think about what the problem might be, it's less of a year-to-year problem, but more of a Zach can, over the long term, does a Prop 2.5, a 2.5% a year increase. Can you, over the long term, hold your costs to that kind of level? Or it feels like, will it bust at the seams at some point?
The only, not to interrupt Zach, but the only thing I do see as uncontrollable in each of these expense budgets, it does include utilities. So for electricity and gas, those would be kind of, costs that are out of our control too. And that could be a budget buster. So that's why in the override scenario, I've bumped up those costs by a little bit more instead of just a 2.5% increase.
And there's also been a lot of capital money that's been put into the department over the last, I've been here 7 years. We've gotten new trucks. We've seen new loaders, new backhoe. We're in a position now where we have a fleet of equipment that's going to last us for a long time. We don't have any large capital requests this year. We've had at least one in each of the last 7 years. Large equipment, big trucks, big pieces of equipment that have 10, 12, 15-year lifespans. You're also doing less maintenance on them. So you're freeing up money that was once put into maintenance of these older pieces of equipment. Now you can put those into services. So you have to be creative of how you're saving money and where you're putting that savings into. So you can try to be creative with the money to provide the same level of services.
Zach, as we look at the infrastructure for the enterprise fund of water and sewer, will the enterprise fund cover the ongoing efforts to increase pipe diameter so we can reduce water pressure and the issues of I'm sure the lift pumps tear themselves up and need to be replaced pretty frequently.
You were breaking up a little bit.
I think Dan, that second Dan that's on the Zoom is you. I think you're somehow logged in twice, and so it's causing an echo. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can get out.
But you don't get 2 votes.
Yeah, it's echoing.
Might be frozen now.
Yep.
So I think he was actually talking sewer water. If you want to go to the enterprise funds, Al, I can just cruise through those.
Yeah, before we start this, a 2-second explanation of what the enterprise fund is. And should I try it or should you try it, Allison?
Allison, I refer to her.
Bob, you're welcome to, you can start it if you want.
Well, you're going to correct me when I misspeak.
Sure.
Basically, the idea of the enterprise fund is it is a autonomous accounting entity for a particular thing. So like water and sewer is all of the water and sewer related revenue and expense is accounted for inside this enterprise fund. So it's not part of the normal general fund DPW budget. This has got a budget and actuals of its own. Some of the costs are done like with an allocation. So they're really, they happen on the general fund. It's the normal DPW employees that do the work, but the cost gets transferred into the enterprise fund. And then at the end of the year, the enterprise fund makes a profit or maybe makes a loss, and then it carries retained earnings. It carries the cumulative history of whatever it's made or lost. And the revenue for at least the water and sewer and the rubbish enterprise fund comes from fees, from the water and sewer fees or from the trash collection fees. That's it. Did that make sense?
Hey, Bob, this is Dana. And so, do the water and sewer enterprise funds, do they break even? Are they self-sustaining, or is there a debt shift at the end of the year to cover all the debt service from the general fund?
In a perfect world, they break even, but it's not a perfect world. So, every year they are adjusting the fees, the revenue side, to try to match the projected expenses.
But I think to Dana's point, the debt, water and sewer debt is raised on the tax rate.
Yes.
That's the one unique part about this enterprise, that the fees don't support that. Because if the fees did support, we have $18 million authorized for sewer borrowing. If that was raised on fees, your sewer fees would be very high. So we use this other mechanism where we're raising the debt on the tax rate.
Right. So in a way, it's subsidized. The water sewer rates are subsidized by the general fund, the property taxes. And the thinking was back years ago, oh, well, property taxes are tax deductible. So it's a little better for our taxpayers in town. But they are limited now. It's a little different story. I mean, in the perfect world, we should try to get it to be self-sustained. But I don't know if we're going to get there anytime soon.
Allison, I have a question on terminology, which has to do with revolving funds. Is an enterprise fund a type of revolving fund? What exactly is a revolving fund?
So a revolving fund it's basically fee revenue that is used, you take in fee revenue and you pay it out. It's for specific types of activities. So it's a little bit different. Like a water and sewer enterprise basically has its own balance sheet. There's salaries attributed to it, operating costs, capital costs, and then any unspent funds you can have certified by the Department of Revenue as retained earnings that you're able to use in future years. For a revolving fund, it's simply you're taking fees in, you're paying out expenses, and that unspent balance carries from year to year. And they're each activity based. So it's similar, but the water and sewer enterprise is a bit more complicated.
Okay. Okay, thanks. That helps.
So Allison, I have a question for you. This is Josie. And again, just for my own education. I know that we've raised some taxes for the water and sewer debt. But is there an opportunity, again, to use any income that we may have generated from the sale of the properties of the former Coast Guard properties to be able to fund any of these major improvements that could be considered capital type improvements? And again, talk about potentially trying to offset that with going post property tax award, right, to try to get some grants back. But my question is, if we're having these huge projects with the water and sewer, is there an opportunity to use the Coast Guard funds?
So yes, there is. The Coast Guard revenue is sitting in an account, and based on Mass Municipal Finance Law, the sale of property, town-owned property, has to be used for a capital purpose. However, those funds are sitting there, and the Board of Selectmen has not yet determined how or recommended how we're going to use those funds. Nobody has spoken about them yet. We still have one more property that remains, occupied. So I think the thinking was, once we get all the property sold, then there's going to be plans on how the funds would be used. So technically, yes, it is a funding source.
And would it be used, or could it be used to pay down the water and sewer debt?
No, it cannot be used to pay debt.
I thought so, right?
Yeah.
The other way. I just wanted to educate myself on that. Thank you.
That's a good question. A couple people have asked me that question, and the language is very specific. I think actually Bob Vanderslice asked that question, and I read him the exact language, and it has to be used for a capital project that you would otherwise borrow for a minimum period of 10 years.
So that was one area, and then off topic to maybe improvements to the library. I was just wondering, the money's sitting there. We have these huge sewer projects. Could we use it or not? That's for the selectmen to decide, but I just wanted to be educated on it. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Aren't we taking delivery of an ambulance in a couple of years?
Actually, I just got an update on the ambulance, and we're getting it in FY27. So that money we had appropriated free cash and some borrowing. We authorized some borrowing a few years ago. I have not borrowed the funds yet, because each year when I go out to issue bans, I would ask the chief for an update on when the ambulance might be delivered. He did just notify me I'm going to have to issue the bans this year for the ambulance, because we're receiving the ambulance this winter.
Could we do a warrant article to substitute using sale funds to fund the ambulance instead of free cash and borrowing?
We could, but again, there has been no discussion about the use of the funds yet. So,
Jack, I'm sorry we went off topic.
No worries. No worries.
Allison, there's something I don't understand. Did I hear you say that no decisions or no capital money, and none of the proceeds from the Coast Guard housing are going to can be spent until that last house is sold?
No, it can be, but I think the thought was the town wanted to sell everything and then make decisions on what the profit would be used for, right? Now we are stuck.
What's the status of that house?
So it's going through legal proceedings right now.
Okay.
And there's probably going to be a second trial this summer. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to that point, there's no restriction on utilizing the revenue that we've already received, but I think the thought was, for the town, to sell everything and then make a plan for the use of the funds.
So, Zach, I have a update, right? I was looking at grants for the town, and I found one that was very odd. That's because we're in the 250th anniversary of the United States. There are improvement funds, celebration funds, and all kinds of things available through both the state and the government. And what I thought was, we have this wonderful gazebo in Bailey's Hill that needs a little refresh, right? And if we could find other, historical buildings that need a refresh, there's an opportunity for us to go after some grants. So I just wanted to put that out there for you as something that could help improve the town. Even things like putting up statues with Minutemen. I mean, you can apply for anything. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
As long as it's, red, white, and blue, 250th anniversary related. And I just thought to myself, this little town has such a great history. And we do have some colonial buildings and other things that we could attach to it. So food for thought, not today during the budget review, but keep that in mind.
Sure.
I have a vision
Thanks.
of statues, busts of the selectmen
I
lining
think so. Chiseled onto 40 steps somehow.
But speaking of the gazebo, Josie, we did receive some funding to refurbish that. So that's on Zach's project plan.
Perfect. I love that little gazebo. I walk by it every day.
All right, we digress. We need to get back to.
I have a 250th question. I know that all the boats, the great, wonderful sail celebration, they're going to be sitting right in our front yard.
Yes, they are.
And that's fabulous. So Zach, do we have to do anything to keep everything okay with them?
Allison's got it all planned out.
Oh,
She's
what's
got the
going to
party
happen?
all planned out.
We're planning a party, Barbara.
We have to go.
Yes. So we have an informal group that I'm on. Rob Thibault's on it. We have members of the Dory Club, the sailing program. We're planning to have a townwide party the Friday before the Parade of Sails. So
But
it's
the boats
July.
will already be there, right?
Yep, on July 10th. So the boats will be there, where it's going to kind of mimic what we do for 4th of July. So it's going to be a party on the wharf. We're going to have tents, food vendors. There's going to be a beer vendor. We're going to have music, a DJ, a band. We're planning that all out right now. So stay tuned.
Don't forget the fireworks. We can get those funded through that grant.
Yep.
Hey, parades, everything. This year is an unusual year like it was in 1976. So, the town has to I just found him. I think it's fantastic. And wherever, fireworks, historical society events, veterans events, any, we can try to get funded, which would be fabulous.
Yeah. So specifically for this event, I'm seeking a cultural council grant, which they're meeting on next Monday. So I've sought that out, but I am going to look into some of the links that you had sent along to Josie.
Good.
Thank you.
I want to tie that into anything that Zach might be able to use to refresh too, because there is an opportunity to do that. Okay.
Thanks,
want to refresh the wharf. We can figure out how to figure it out, right? And say it's a celebration, erect a building. I mean, they're really out there. So it's just a matter of what's your wish list? How could we tie it into, we're preparing for, I'm going to give you an idea. We're preparing for this tall ships and we want to refresh the wharf a little bit. I mean, we can get creative. I'm not saying you're going to get it, but we can always try.
Yeah.
But I think we need to pull that whole conversation off into a separate meeting. And just for now, go back to where are we? Water and sewer enterprise.
All right, I'll continue on to bore you a little more, but I'll start with the sewer operation. Salaries and wages, just like other sections for personnel assigned to the sewer division, including overtime and standby. You'll see a portion of the superintendent's salary in there as well. The sewer system in Nahant is a very technical sewer system. There's 12 satellite sewer pump stations, as well as one major pump station at the lowlands, which pumps the sewage from the lowlands to the Lynn sewer treatment plant. It's an expensive system to run. It has several moving parts and technical equipment. So that being said, some of the purchase services include specialty services for electrical or issues not typically handled by the department. For instance, cranes for pumps, electricians, specialty water jetting, pump truck and tanker truck rental, and any deep excavations that typically wouldn't be handled in-house. Purchase supplies include piping, pipe, repair parts, gravel, stone, sand, and other backfill materials, electrical and pump station supplies, pumps, hoses, as well as gasoline and diesel for all the assigned vehicles to the sewer department. Any questions on the sewer system?
Zach, this is Dana again, and I'm going to sound kind of repetitive here. So, what do the fees look like for water sewer connections, new water sewer connections, and when those? That's two-part question. So
they were recently updated, so they reflect the costs that we're seeing today. It's very limited. New connections, as you know, new construction in this town is limited. So we did have most recently, obviously, we have the Coast Guard housing where we've had to deal with it. But again, it's limited, but the costs were updated to reflect costs that we're seeing.
okay, so it's pretty much it reflects the cost of doing the service.
Yeah. That way it would be a wash for the resident and the department.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We've done a lot of capital upgrades on the sewer system. I'll talk more about the bigger projects on the next slide, but we just recently completed the full renovation of the major pump station in town, which is arguably the most critical and most expensive piece of infrastructure in town. So that was just completed, and it's under our operation and functioning like a Swiss watch. So very happy about it. Very happy. The other building that we dealt with was built in 1978. And a lot of the parts and pieces inside were vintage, and they did actually a great job of keeping that thing running for as long as they did. But we definitely feel blessed to have a state-of-the-art pump station.
Were you going to invite us over? Were you going to invite us over to see the new pump station at some point? I thought I remember you talking about that.
I'd be glad to. That's how proud I am of it. So, yeah, anybody who wants to check it out, it's pretty interesting. It goes down about 40 feet underground.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we have a wet well and a dry well, both roughly 30 some odd feet underground that you can go down, 6 flights of stairs and stand in there perfectly dry in the dry well with the pumps. And then next door to it is a giant well where all the wastewater collects. Now you can go in there too, and it's a big open pool. Smells horrible. But that's where we pump from. We collect it there and pump it to Lynn, where it's treated and eventually out to the ocean. So I can go through water pretty quickly. Water is salaries and wages for personnel, a portion of the superintendent's salary. There's engineers services in the water operation, just because a lot of the work is technical and requires it. Equipment operation and repair. The water operation has a lot of the heavier equipment, so repairs and such can be costly. Purchase services include services for water main breaks and issues. And this is really the portion of this budget that is out of our control. We try to do enough repairs so that the average amount of cost due to these breaks is equal every year. This year has been challenging due to the temperature and the snow. It also includes leak testing services. So we do biannual leak testing townwide to figure out where and if there are any leaks. We also do hydrant and valve replacement repair, water meter installation repair and maintenance. And that's about it on that. Any questions on the water?
Yeah, weren't we doing some kind of a lead pipe
We are. So
thingy?
last year, about a year and a half ago, the EPA put rules into effect where you have to identify all the water service lines. So we're in the process of identification.
And
So
then what happens?
you have to replace all the lead pipes that you find. We
And
haven't.
what happens? How does that get costed and paid for, et cetera?
Good question. So there's a lot of grants available for that and assistance.
Does if it happens that it's a lead pipe on one's property, that it'll happen specifically to that house?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's tricky because the ownership of the water service is split. So the town owns to the shutoff valve,
Right,
which is typically on the property line, and
right.
the homeowner will own from that shutoff valve to the house. So it's
Right.
really a gray area now as to who's replacing what, who's responsible for what. If you have a lead line on your side and we have a lead line on our side, are we just going to go in and replace the publicly owned lead line and leave? So there's a lot of things that need to be figured out in terms of the replacement. The
And I can see that.
identification, yeah, the identification is still ongoing, and there hasn't been any rules or requirements put into place for replacement.
So when do you expect that to happen? Because that's when the costing,
Next year.
okay,
So all the inventories are due next year, the identification, and then they're going to provide guidance on what needs to be replaced, who's responsible, how it's going to be funded.
and how much it's going to cost.
Exactly.
Who is it that makes the determination?
The EPA is
Okay.
who put this out. It was basically driven by the events in Michigan.
Right. That horrible lead
Yeah.
situation that really hurt a lot of children, as I recall.
Yes. So we haven't found any. We don't expect to find any. If anything, it's very limited. We've found a lot of copper and a lot of brass. We found that brass has been used a lot in coastal communities.
And so this is Josie. I did a little bit of research on this, how other towns are managing it. And just, I'm not saying this is the way we would go, but what Gloucester and others have done is they get grants to do the public part of it, which we get from the EPA. And then there are no interest loans available from the government for the homeowner.
Oh, okay.
That's how that's managed. We can talk about that planning another year, right? But there are those options, and a lot of communities are doing it in that manner.
Yeah, we'll look to take advantage of any assistance or any grant funding that's available for the lead pipes for sure.
Or the zero interest loan for the homeowner is very helpful too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The water meter project, is that going? Is that going to
Yes.
happen with the pipe replacement?
Yes. So we actually last week we just received proposals for the water meters. So that was put out to bid, and we're currently reviewing the bids or the proposals. So once we decide what type of hardware we're going to use, we'll put the installation out to bid. So we expect the project itself to be underway roughly mid-June.
Oh, wow.
And hopefully be done by sometime in the winter, depending on how quickly they can get them all in. And during that process, they're going to identify the customer side service line on 100% of the houses in town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that mean that there would be the customers aren't paying for the new water meters, correct?
No.
No. But does that mean there'll be people coming onto our property, say if it's in our
Yes.
garden or whatever, and they'll be doing stuff in the garden and taking things out and putting things in?
It's going to be so simple. It's going to be very simple. So it's a plug and play. Your old meter will come out, the new meter will be installed. They'll wire it, make sure we can read it. The idea behind this meter project is that it's an automatic metering system so that it's real time and we can track the water usage and we can answer questions on the water usage. Whereas now we're using an archaic system where we're driving by your house every 4 months to get one single read. And if there was any problems within those 4 months, we don't have good information on when it happened, why it happened. The new systems give you alerts to where we can alert the customers. There's customer portals to where you can look at things and
yeah, I remember that. So we could find out if for some reason or other it was a huge amount that was happening, right?
If you think you have a high bill or things of that nature, you'll be able to go online, and I'll be able to go online and look at why and figure out if it's actually high because of your water usage or if there's an issue with the meter or things like that. So right now we really don't have that ability.
So, Zach, this is Josie again, just again for my own education. Do we have different meters for outside water usage versus indoor water usage?
Some people do. It's a deduct meter. So your bill is based on your water usage. So whatever comes into the house, you're billed the same for sewer. So it's assumed that the water coming in is going out to the sewer plant. When you have a second meter on your irrigation, we take that amount of water and we deduct it from the sewer charge. Mm-hmm. So you're still getting charged for the water, but you're not getting charged for the disposal because you're assuming that you're using it on your lawn or something like that.
So the water meter replacement, will that also include if someone has 2 meters?
Yes, they'll replace both of them.
And what if what if a person would like to get a second meter? How is that included? Would they pay fees? How would they go about asking for it?
So they'd be charged for the second meter, and they would have to hire a plumber to install it.
Okay. So will the residents know when you're coming out to replace meters?
Yes. So part of the installation quote, the contractor will line up a time slot for everybody. Mm-hmm. That's part of the reason why it's so time consuming is from what I hear is they get 50% of them done within 2 months and the next 50% takes 6 months. So
because they're doing something else somewhere else. What is the cost of an outdoor meter? Would you have an idea? Because I think some of us struggle with really high water bills.
I think it's $300 for the meter.
Okay, so it's reasonable. It's not like
it's roughly cost. Yeah, it's roughly cost.
Josie, you may have to install plumbing inside your house to support it.
That's fine. I'm just trying to get some, understanding, right? If we're going to do this project, there may be, an opportunity for folks, maybe a public announcement that saying if you don't have an outdoor water meter, think about it. This is what's going to cost. You need a plumber. Because I think quite a few people, and I know that we're all in the garden club. We all love our gardens. We spend a lot of money on our gardens, and it just seems like a really, really high water bill. Mm-hmm. Compared to a lot of other communities that I've lived in. And I know that we live out on an island, so it's harder to get it in and out, but there may be a lot of other people in the same situation. That's all.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take this a little different direction again. What's happening to rates?
Good question, Allison. Have we figured out the impact on the rates?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yes, I've shared that in the Dropbox folder for the Finance Committee. I can pull it up if I escape the PowerPoint. Hold on.
Allison, when we met with Josh, I had asked a question, how do our rates compare with comparable communities, mostly here in Massachusetts, like Hull? And I don't know if we've ever tried to identify that, but it would be good to know.
Sure. Yeah, we can take a look at that. Are you seeing my spreadsheet or are you still seeing the presentation?
Presentation.
Okay, I have to stop sharing and reshare. Hold on. So this is the estimate right now on what the rates would be for FY27. It's going up an average of 4%.
Oh yeah.
A lot of that is driven by the assessment from MWRA. And one of the things, it actually went up this year, Allison, am I correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I had to come back. I didn't budget high enough for it. It came back a little bit higher, and I went back to the board, asked them to increase the budget for the omnibus, and then brought that back to the finance committee.
So this is based on your percentage or your piece of the pie per se, how much water you're using out of the system. And if you can reduce your usage over the year, you can reduce your assessment or what they think you're going to use in the following year. And we've actually, past 6 years, we've been able to come down, and we've been favorable because we've been saving water. We've actually used less than what they assumed. Last year was a challenging year where our water usage was high, and that's why we saw the increase there. So the better we are with the water system and the less loss we have, the better our assessment will be and the better our rates will be. So we're actively trying to find leaks and limit any loss that we have and just limit the water usage.
Does that mean that if you water your lawn a lot, for instance, this past summer, we didn't have to because there was so much rain, it stayed green by itself.
Yeah.
But does that mean if you water your lawn a lot and you want to keep it green, that your assessment goes up?
Yeah, if nobody watered their lawn in town, your rate would drop because you wouldn't be using as much water out of the system. So your assessment for your cost from MWRA would go down.
But the individuals, you don't make that change based on the homeowner doesn't save according to his usage. Is that correct?
Yeah, the homeowner would just use a lower volume of water but get charged the same. The reflection would be in the next year when MWRA figured out that we're actually not costing them as much as they thought.
Okay.
But if the total water usage went down by 20%, and let's say then the MWRA charge would go down by 20%. A lot of our costs are fixed costs. They would not go down by 20%, and I would expect the rate to go up.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, the MWRA assessment is just one piece of the budget. It is the biggest part of the water budget, but there's salaries on there. We have all our, purchase services. We have all other operating costs on there. So.
If we want a lower rate, use more water, costs more money, but it would be a lower rate.
Yeah. That doesn't make much sense though. It would cost the town more money, but the residents
But the rate would go down because the volume that you're charging on would go up.
Right. Okay, so keep water in the lawn, Barbara.
Get a separate meter for the lawn.
Yeah.
Don't pay the sewer bill.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can go through the last section is the rubbish enterprise. I can go quickly through that. Again, you'll see salaries and wages for personnel that are assigned to the waste division. You'll see general expenses are broken into services and supplies. Services include hazardous waste and special waste disposal, townwide street sweeping, large volume trash removal, and compost facility services. So the compost facility is actually wrapped into the rubbish enterprise as well. So dealing with the yard waste and things of that nature are also wrapped into this as well. Personnel tasks include litter control and removal, daily barrel changeover and collection, and compost facility upkeep. Supplies include barrels, lids, liners, dumpsters, and the biggest cost obviously is the household collection. So that's based on the most recent contract. And is that on a 1-year extension now?
I'm currently working on it with Waste Management. It might be 3 years.
Okay.
We might get a better deal with a 3-year contract and then go out to bid after that. So they're getting me rates by next week.
So this is similar to the water sewer. It's an enterprise fund like we spoke about before.
So last year, Tony told us the inconvenient fact that the town is charged effectively the same rate for recycling as it is for rubbish. And the only thing that really saves money is composting. Is that still true?
I believe that still rings true due to the cost to recycle. Doesn't make sense, but it's costs as much to burn it as it does to sift it and recycle it, I guess.
Do we have any leverage over that at all?
There's different ways where you can get creative to try to save money in terms of using automated services, specific barrels, a pay by throw type deal. We did explore those when Tony was here, and he felt as though it was favorable to stick with how it's functioning now, which is basically you can use any barrel you want and you're not really limited to volume. You can throw away pretty much as you want. So
Anything but a mattress.
right. Mattresses are costly.
And Zach, could you run through the transfers to capital? I mean, it's up 51%.
Yeah, Allison, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, so really the transfer to capital is just based on the amount of retained earnings at the end of the previous year. So there was a bit more savings in the trash budget that we had certified as retained earnings. So it's just we're putting it towards the compost area.
Okay.
So one of the things we're dealing with at the compost area is a historic amount of material. So it's not just a year's worth of material, it's 10 years worth of material. So we're trying every year to take bites out of the historic piles and get it back to a functioning compost facility. And then one of the things we're going to explore in the future is doing some active composting where we're turning stuff over and we're operating as a compost facility, whereas now it's more of a transfer station. Where we're taking things in and getting rid of them because we just don't have the capacity or the room to do it right now.
So does it have any value? Because does the town have to pay to get to empty it out every year?
We do. So it's a yearly cost to basically maintain baseline down there and not add to the stockpile. So
Is there
one
any
of the
place
things,
we could put it in town, not have to pay to get rid of it?
it's not very good material. There's a lot of invasive species in it. And a lot of the areas where you want to fill are low and they're lowlands, and it's tough to get permitting to fill. So that's also a challenge.
So we've tabled for the moment any idea of trying to have an incentive for homeowners to produce less waste. Is that true?
No, there is an incentive to start composting.
Actually, I'm not talking about compost. I'm talking about
Okay.
waste, regular household waste. Hmm.
No, I mean, we can explore it. Allison and I can explore it with the new contract, figure out if there's any ways where we can save money. But again, it involves a change where the residents are really going to have to be behind what we do, because it's going to change the way you're able to throw away
Yeah,
trash.
right.
As I recall, Tony explained to us that he was worried it would be more expensive because you'd have to have a system to essentially figure out how much more different households were creating, and then you'd have to bill
Yeah. Yeah.
variably.
There
And
was there was a challenge to doing like that tiered type system.
right. And he said that he thought it would be more expensive to have to do that than just to sort of
Yep.
leave it the way it is. Am I correct on that?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
So this is Josie again. I lived in a community where there were incentives and disincentives, right? So they were incentivized to do more recycling.
Right.
That's great. We all loved it. So if we did more recycling, they would, fine you if they found anything in your garbage or your compost, right? But what I found is very interesting I believe in doing as much recycling and conserving as you can, right? So instead of doing composting or throwing a lot of things in the trash, I will put them in my kitchen, right? To go down the drain disposal, garbage disposal. And yet I'm paying more money in water to be able to use my garbage disposal than it would cost to put it in the trash, right? And the recycling is interesting here because we're getting charged just as much for recycling as we do for trash. So this is a very interesting town. I would love to see a water conservation community, but honestly, how do we do that? You're taking it from one place, but when people actually start putting things down their drain, your water's going to go up. I mean, things to consider. It's not just, one, it's so layered on how that would work.
Oh, I think you're on mute, Zach.
Sorry.
There you go.
I was just saying, it's a challenge to change the way you do trash. It's definitely an adjustment. But we can definitely explore different ways. With the last contract, Tony and I had done the same thing. We explored every single way we possibly could to try to save money and limit the amount of trash. So that's pretty much it in terms of budget. I did have another slide that just kind of went through a lot of the projects that we're doing, above and beyond kind of the everyday monotony. So I'll go through some of the sewer repairs. A lot of it was completed, or all of it was completed through the borrowing through the state's Clean Water Revolving Fund. 2 years ago, we completed the lining of the force main that runs along the Linway. This was giving us some major problems and costly breaks over the couple of years, and we've been able to line that, and it's functioning properly. The Ward Road pump station was just completely restored. We took ownership over it in June of this year, and that's been functioning beautifully since then. We also have an ongoing phase 1 infiltration and inflow study. So this is basically trying to limit the amount of groundwater that's infiltrating into your pipes and eliminating any illicit discharges, such as sump pumps and those things from going into your pipes. So what's happening is a lot of groundwater and illicit discharge is getting into our sewer system, which we're paying to treat. So what we're trying to do is limit this, which will limit the amount of water that goes to Lynn Sewer, which will limit your sewer bill. Are there any questions on the sewer work or the II work?
I guess the question I have on the sewer, is it purely volume, or is there a density of materials issue that they would, if we were to cut down our volume, it would become a more dense material?
Yeah, it's not based on density. I believe they do take some data from the different towns that are going to the plant, but the billing is not based on suspended solids or any other type of thing. It's just basically volume.
Okay, thanks.
The cleaner it is, the better for them, I would say. The more watered down, I would say. We're also doing flow metering, which kind of goes hand in hand with this II. So we're putting meters in the sewer pipes to determine during rain events how much rainwater is actually getting into the sewer. This is also leading to the phase 2 II work, which will actually entail like putting in new pipes and things like that to limit the inflow. We also got funding for the Willow Road force main. So not only do you have a force main that brings the sewer to Lynn, you also have one that brings sewer from the wharf to the golf course, and it runs underground from the golf course to Kelly Greens along Willow Road. This was built in the early 80s. It's asbestos. We haven't had any failures on it. It's not that we expect failures, but because we're so far in front of it, or I'm saying that now, I might jinx myself, but we're in front of it to the point where this is very proactive. It's a very proactive thing to do, so I'm happy about that. That also includes the Wharf Street pump station. So the Wharf Street pump station itself will get upgraded as well. We have historic FEMA jobs from 2017 that are ongoing that have been hugely challenging to permit. The 40 steps revetment and the Short Beach Dune. The Short Beach Dune, we just received, it was a $5 million, Allison?
3 million.
3 million. So we got a 3 million grant from the state to restore the Short Beach Dune. That's in design and should be out to bid within the next few months. We expect construction in fall. I can go into detail on that project if anybody has any questions on that.
Zach, on the dispensing end of water delivery and the water mains in town and the diameter of those pipes, do you see a day that we'll ever be able to cut the water pressure down? We have to run it really high and it blows apart hoses and washing machines.
Yeah, I talked to MWRA about that, and it's because of the distance we are from the aquifer or the source and the amount of pumping that goes into getting it here.
Oh, it's not pipe diameter from old pipes that were put in too small.
No, I don't think so. I think that would reduce anything. It would reduce pressure. So one of the reasons why you put in the larger diameter size pipes is to increase the pressure. So if you have an 8-inch pipe full, it will have the same pressure as the the 4-inch only would be so much more constricted. So the 8-inch pump, so we'll put in a new pipe if an 8-inch pipe is calcified down to a 4-inch pipe. When we put the 8-inch pipe back in, when we restore that line, the pressure increases, the water quality and the pressure should both increase. One of the things we can do is put a pressure reducing valve, like a town-wide reducing valve, but it requires a ton of maintenance. It can lead to issues with low pressure and things like that. And I've been advised against it just due to the issues it causes with firefighting.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
So, and the other option you have is to do an in-home pressure reducing valve to protect. It's rare to get complaints about high pressure, I will say, in terms of towns.
Showering,
Like
yeah.
tell other people in other towns and they say, we can't stop getting complaints about low pressure. And I tell them I've never, ever gotten a low pressure complaint, but a lot of high pressure complaints. So, but I have approached MWRA about that, and it's due to the pumps and what it takes to get it here. So on their end, they can't do anything to change it. It would have to be us doing a town-wide reduction valve or that's just something of that nature.
Great.
I got one more slide. But one of the things that's kept us really busy over the last few years are the CPC projects, which have been awesome. A few of the CPC projects that we have on the pipeline this year, we're continuing the Bailey's Hill and the Fort Ruckman slope restoration projects. We are planning on doing new equipment for the Pleasant Street Playground. The town hall flagpole. I don't know that there's enough money in the CPC article for that, but we're looking at repainting the town hall flagpole. Pickleball courts will get new nets, as well as windscreen and shade structures. And then everybody knows the Little League lighting project. And then we're looking to do some drainage improvements. Lowlands has been completed, and the White Way, Willow Road neighborhood is the next thing to happen. So, and then of course the repairs to the Calanthe gazebo, which is a $25,000 earmark, and you should see some action over the next month out there. So, about all I got.
Zach, this is Dana. A question about the White Way project.
Yep.
Is it 300,000 roughly for this year?
Yes.
So in a constrained economic environment, could that be parceled out over 3 years?
I don't think so. I think the White Way neighborhood is in dire need of improvements. Other things I would say can kind of push out and be phased out based on economic stresses. I just don't believe this is one of them. I think they're dealing with flooding that needs to be handled by the town. I think if they're getting flooding during rain events, and I really don't see that anywhere else in town, but there. But the project itself, Dana, is a larger project. It includes Willow Road, Pond Street, Valley Road, and other areas. So one of the things we can do based on funding is parcel out the project and do what we can afford. Yeah, I would like to get that job done.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's certainly worthy, but maybe the timing, I was curious about the timing, stretch it out a little bit so that, other priorities could emerge.
Understood. Sorry to take so much of your time. Do Again, I do appreciate you guys taking your time out to meet with us.
Oh, we appreciate everything you do, please,
Thanks.
and everything your department does. I mean, what Melanie said was true. I mean, I shouldn't, I'll be driving through Lynn. Oh, the snow removal was terrible. I'm sorry. I felt sorry for people. There's streets you couldn't get through some of them at all. And then you get to Nahant, the snow removal was, Melanie's correct, it was beautiful. But everything else, Bailey's Hill, all the parks, you know, it really is beautiful. And we are very appreciative. So please thank everyone for
I
us
will.
and let them
I'm
know.
glad you notice. We do try
That's
hard.
what I want to let you know. We notice
Thanks.
and let people know we notice and we
Thanks.
appreciate.
I've
Thank you.
actually told Zach, I have received a number of emails from residents that have praised his work and the department's work, and I make sure to communicate that to them as well. So I always thank Zach.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Allison and Zach, thank you this year for giving us a PowerPoint presentation. It was very clear and easy to follow. So your simplicity was superb, Zach. Thank you.
I second
Thanks.
that.
Wow, thanks.
No, seriously, you did. You did what? You had a good command of your subject too. Just a PowerPoint.
That's true.
All right. No further questions? All right. So next week, we've called a meeting for Monday, which is Fire Department Part 2, the sequel. And I've only gotten one question from anybody. So if you have specific questions, please send them on no later than noon tomorrow, because I do want to forward them on to Chief Antrim in advance of the meeting. And I am what I'm anticipating is that Monday meeting would be just finish off the conversation with the chief and then move into more of our own conversation about specifically about the fire department override request and what can or should be done with it. So that would be Monday. And then Thursday of next week, as I remember, is held out for something that's kind of mysteriously entitled articles. And that would be any warrant articles that don't fall neatly into specific departments. And I have a list here. I'm just going to read the list so everybody has got a heads up. If there are any of these that you think we should not address, let me know. And anyone, especially Allison, who do we want to invite to discuss these? So
So Sheila thinks that she's coming to meet with you regarding the wireless telecommunication bylaw.
Yep.
I can't remember if she said she thought she was coming April 1st or the following week.
April 2nd is what she said
April
to me
2nd,
today.
sorry. Yeah. So I think she does plan on attending next Thursday.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I had a short conversation with her about that. So, all right.
Okay.
So that's the wireless communication one.
We usually have the citizens that came up with it for the citizens petitions.
Correct. Is that a citizen's petition?
No, but
No.
there are
No,
other
no.
citizens petitions.
There are.
No, the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go at least in the order of my list.
Oh, okay.
All right. Is there a separate article on the override, or that's just embedded in the omnibus, right?
It's part of the omnibus, correct.
All right. So we will have an entire separate discussion on that. The first chunk of it will be on Monday when we talk about the fire department piece of it. Right. There is an article about establishing a housing trust, which has the potential for being pretty controversial. I think. And that is, Allison, that would be Jeff Lewis and Rob Bidwell.
Yeah, both can come. I also want to encourage everyone. I did a press release. We're having a representative from the Mass Housing Trust do a webinar on Tuesday at 6:30 via Zoom. I would hope that some finance committee members attend that. She's doing a presentation on what an affordable housing trust is, and then opening it up to Q&As. So I'm encouraging residents and committee members and whoever's able to jump onto that Zoom to find out more information as well.
Could you
But,
repeat
yeah,
again the date, Allison? It was Tuesday?
it's Tuesday, yep, at 6:30 via Zoom. So
Okay.
the information is on the website. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I really want, I encourage everybody to attend that has any type of question or just generally wants to know what it is. But I can also invite Jeff and Rob to attend next Thursday's meeting.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Okay. And we deliberately did not schedule a finance committee meeting for Tuesday evening to leave it open for people to attend that. So,
Oh, okay.
okay. I wrote down assessor's bylaw because that's what Sheila talked to me about, but I wasn't sure if it was the wireless communication one. It's the wireless communication one, so I can cross that off my list. There is an article in there. This one is a citizen's petition. The rodenticide, say that 5 times fast.
Mhm.
That would be Vi.
Yes.
I'll have a chat with Vi. There's an article in there on the design studies for a new public safety building. We could probably bundle that in on Monday night with Chief Antrim, or are there other constituents to that?
Well, what about police? It's not just fire.
Just
Mhm.
fire? Yeah.
Yeah.
So to be open, this article is going to be indefinitely postponed.
That request.
Yay.
Yeah, so this feasibility study is running a little bit longer. We're going to have the first public presentation of the study on April 8th to the Board of Selectmen. It's going to be an in-person meeting. Again, I encourage, anybody interested to attend that, but that's really going to be the first time that everybody sees what's been done over the past 7 months during this study. So I just don't think that there's enough time to have all that material, before everybody in the beginning of April, and then quickly turn around and say, okay, what are we going to decide to do? And we want to put money towards designer services. So I want to give it a little bit more time. I'm keeping it on the warrant just to say, look, this is something that's coming up, but I do think it's going to be a lot of material for the residents to digest and consider, and there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. So
When was that meeting, that one you just talked about?
So that's going to be on Wednesday, April 8th at 6:30.
Okay.
And will that be on the town website as well?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
post that. It's a public meeting because they are presenting to the Board of Selectmen. So it's a public meeting that anybody's able. It's going to be hybrid, so you can come in person. They're going to present to the board in person, but you will also be able to Zoom in if you want to.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right. This next one may be surprisingly controversial. Transferable parking stickers.
Whoa, how do you
That's a
monitor
citizen's
that?
petition.
All right. Do we know who are the proponents of it?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. Who was the submittal? I forget. Peter Galaki.
Does anybody know Peter?
I have his email address if you want me to reach out to him and see if he wants to come on. the
I
meeting
think-
next week?
I think that's a good idea, personally.
Mhm.
Yes. All right, and then there are two that are bylaw changes related to town meeting. One is changing it from a 14-day notice to a 7-day notice. And the second is limiting the time of a speaker. And are those citizens petitions?
No, those are my petitions.
Right.
Oh, I thought I was the citizen.
Originating from Deborah and then the town putting it on there.
All right.
I'm glad you put it on.
All right. So somewhere between Deborah and Allison, you will be equipped to speak to these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the proposed bylaw to change the dates?
Yes.
Is there a reason that you didn't want to say second Saturday in May for the town meeting and then the following Tuesday for the election? Because
So this-
sometimes it'll be 3 days and sometimes it'll be 10 days.
Right. So this was a recommendation of the town clerk. How is it worded now? I'm sorry. We've changed it a bunch of times.
The meeting is the second Saturday in May,
Mhm.
and the election shall be the third Tuesday.
Right.
So sometimes it'll be 3 days after, and sometimes it'll be 10 days after.
Yeah, so that was the recommendation of the town clerk. Originally, we had first proposed that the election get changed to the second Tuesday in June. And then the town clerk came back to me and said, after consulting with peers and others in town, they said June is not a good time to have an election. It's the end of school, there's graduations, people are taking off for summer vacation. I said I was concerned about having something, earlier in May because town meeting has always been the third Saturday in May. So I did agree to move that up by 1 week so we could do the election right after that. But yeah, so that was the recommendation by her. What would you recommend, or what are you suggesting that I should say?
Well, if they need 10 days, then have it 10 days. If 3 days is enough, then have it 3 days.
Okay.
Allison, this is Josie. I just have, public meetings on holiday weekends are sometimes a bit difficult. But we just want to make sure the second weekend in May is not a holiday weekend. Consider that, right? Lots of people go away for Mother's Day.
Really?
Oh.
Yep, they do. Lots of people do.
Huh.
So, I mean, I know it's a pain, but the second weekend or third weekend in June, those kinds of things. We don't want people to think that we do that on purpose to try to get less people at a town meeting, right?
No. So the one thing that we were considering, to be honest, I didn't even think about Mother's Day. We were worried about the Memorial Day holiday. So we were planning everything around that and, juggling with the calendar in regards to Memorial Day. I did not consider.
It's my one comment. Okay. And the other thing that I just want to ask respectfully, Chairman Vanderslice, is do we need to do a call for public commentary? Are there any other folks on the line?
Yes, we do, and we will.
Thank you.
We're not quite there yet.
Okay.
I want to. I don't want to put Allison on the spot, but a question. Allison, are you familiar with what Marblehead is doing about their override?
Yes.
And can you give us like the Cliff Notes version of that?
So I just briefly read the article today about it. My understanding, and it's nothing is even set in stone yet. The Board of Selectmen has directed the town administrator to come back, but they're looking at three different scenarios. One is restoring some of the cuts that they had originally proposed, having us, and then doing an operating override over several years. A second one is restoring all of the cuts that they proposed and having larger override. And then another one, same thing, restoring cuts, having an override, and implementing trash fees. So I haven't spoken to anybody. I haven't spoken to the town administrator in Marblehead. I don't know the details of each one. I only know what I've read in the news.
Yeah, and which is what I know as well. But apparently their vote, their public vote will have those three options on it, and the option selected will be the one that receives the most votes. I found that to be sort of an interesting approach.
Yeah.
The other thing that caught my eye that really wasn't explained in the article was it referred several times to an override over several years. What the heck are they talking about? I always thought that an override could only be for a fiscal year and not span several fiscal years.
It can't. So what they're proposing is, having an override next year, then they'd propose another override for the year after. It would have to be voted on each subsequent year.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It made it sounded like it somehow was all bundled into one. So it would have to be over several years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which would be very, proposing an override for 1 year is difficult enough to do. It would be very difficult, I think, to come back, year after year asking for overrides.
It can be a bit dangerous too. If the big override wins in year one, it sort of sets expectations for the subsequent years, which are still up for grabs in those years.
Yep. There was also a Boston Globe article that I forwarded to the select board. I think it was in the newspaper 2 days ago, about communities that are putting overrides on the table for FY27. And it was really interesting. They talk about the amounts and the different reasons for it. So if anybody was able to see that, I thought that was an interesting article too.
Gee, I'd like to see that. I don't take the Globe.
I'll send it to you and I'll give you my password.
Thank you. I really would like to see that.
Okay. All right. Any other administrative stuff from anyone else? No? All right. So this would be the time for public forum. The members of the public remaining are Ed and Zach. So if either of those gentlemen have questions, comments, or whatever, feel free. Now's your chance. And if not,
motion to adjourn.
Exactly. So motion has been made. Seconded by Barbara. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote in favor. I will see you all on Monday night. Hopefully I will get questions for the fire chief. And hopefully I will see some people Tuesday night too. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks again.
Night.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.